welcome to Tripod, our travel retail themed video podcast series in association with the SEVA Group. I'm Martin Moodie.
I'm Roger Jackson.
Roger, we've got a great guest coming on the show in a few moments, and it's going to be an exciting conversation, I think, for both of us. First, as always, I just want to do a bit of a wrap on how you and I see the industry. Any talking points out there? I suspect there's one or two quite major ones.
I think, it's been a busy couple of weeks since we were last on, but I think probably the standout one for me, Martin, was the press release from Heinemann regarding the Spanish Aena tender. And whilst the actual news wasn't, that shocking, I think we always knew that tender was going to be very, very competitive. And probably expensive, for whoever, is successful in that process. I think the fact that Heinemann came out with a very respectful press release, but also gave a bit of insight into actually how they're thinking and what their values are. And I think ultimately it drew a line in the sand where Heinemann said, look, this is the position and actually this has gone too far for us. And, we're more interested in partnerships that are going to be, a bit more equal. And I think the new era of their management team, obviously Max and Dirk coming in, and I think sharing that transparency with our industry is really interesting as well. And I'm wondering what that means, for further, for further tenders, as we know there's a few big ones on their way as well. So I thought that was worth picking out. Kudos to Heinemann for doing that, being so transparent and sharing that with the industry, and also, putting that line in the sand so we know where their business and their values sit. And same to Aena, who obviously, their responsibility is to get the best possible outcome for their business, which is a state-owned listed business. So essentially the Spanish people as well. So kudos to both parties, but really good for us and the industry that the transparency is there.
Yeah, it is fascinating. I mean, I've been covering this business for over 3 decades, and I can think of very few examples where a would-be bidder has come out with a statement such as that. There have been a few examples of post-bid losers, as it were, coming out with some statements about terms and conditions, but that was an unusual one. As you say, it represents a line in the sand, but conversely, obviously, also an opportunity for someone else. And what I find fascinating, Roger, is that if we've got 2 mega tenders being played out at the same time, you've got Aena, the biggest tender in the airport world, by dint of the fact that it covers so many airports, and you've got the biggest single airport duty-free tender being played out at Incheon International Airport. And boy, are there talking points there as well. You've got the Korean Big Four, Lotte, Schiller, Shinsegae, and Hyundai. But you've also got a very large cat among those very large pigeons, as it were, and that's China Duty Free Group. And given that so much of the traditional Korean tourism business is based on Chinese shoppers, Chinese tourists, to have China Duty Free in that mix is really fascinating. Now, I would have thought that if China Duty Free hadn't entered the fray, you possibly would have had less aggressive bids, shall we say, from the Korean operators. They're all going through various stages of distress, partly because of the pandemic, but partly in recent months because of the crackdown on the whole Daegu Commission business. So really fascinating. You've got the kind of the wolf in there among the sheep, and now all the Korean operators are having to rethink how they approach this critical tender, because it's a long-term contract and not one you walk away from too easily. So we're going to watch that with great interest. And just to Heinemann, Roger, I have been on the road a bit. I was down in Sydney for the opening of the Sydney Airport luxury precinct. And among that luxury precinct, which wraps around the Heinemann area, Heinemann have unveiled a new luxury beauty, fashion, and accessories area. It's mega sized, but the talking point to me is the quality. It's a beautiful execution, and if you combine it with this roll call of stellar brands, from Vuitton to Gentle Monster to Tiffany and just about every other major label in between. It's one heck of a job that's been done by Sydney Airport and its anchor concessionaire. So that was good. And that's good for the industry as well, because we're seeing investment again. We're seeing traffic now back through Sydney. Chinese are starting to come back, which is really important. It's a very Asian city, Sydney. And I came away from that experience really, really upbeat, as were the Heinemann folks. So there's plenty of good news out there, but as you say, lots of talking points as well. All right, well, with no further ado, as I said, we've got a fascinating guest. Shall we bring her in?
Yeah, let's do it.
So this episode's special guest is Isabel Zarza, Chief Operating Officer, North and Central Europe, Russia and Africa at Dufry Group, and one of the most widely respected individuals I can possibly think of in the global travel retail community. Now, Isabel is what I would call a youthful veteran of our industry, having joined Spanish travel retailer Aldeasa, remember them, some 26 years ago in February 1997, if I'm not mistaken, and having spent most, not all, of the intervening years in a variety of roles with the subsequent incarnations of Aldeasa, World Duty Free Group, and of course, Dufry. So like me, Isabel has lived and worked through some changing times in our ever-evolving travel retail sector. Today, we're going to find out a little more about those years, but as always, Tripod is about discovering the person behind the executive, from her early years to life highlights along the way. Isabel, welcome to Tripod.
Thank you very much, Martin.
It's really, really great to have you with us, and we're going to have some fun today, take you to our resident duty-free island, Desert Duty-Free Island, a little bit later. But firstly, as I said, we're going to learn a little bit about your formative years and career. So I'm going to pass over to my partner in Tripod, Roger Jackson. Roger, great to be with you again, of course. Over to you.
Hey, Isabel, hope you're well.
Hello, Roger. Very good. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. We always start off where it all started for you. So I guess back to those early days. Could you tell us a bit about you growing up, family life, and then a bit about education, and I believe going to the University of Houston as well? Any standout memories?
Yes, many memories. But let me first say I am from Salamanca, from Spain. Salamanca, it's a very small town in the northwest from Madrid, and it's a university city. So it's very small, but it's a beautiful place. We would like to say that it's the oldest university in Europe, but everyone fights for that. But it's the university where Christopher Columbus, I think it's in English, got the approval for the trip to South America, in reality not to South America, but to the Indies. So it's an iconic place. And it's a beautiful place. It has also 2 cathedrals, so beautiful. And I will encourage you, if you go to Spain, to really pay a day and visit Salamanca, because it's a beautiful place that you can see in just one day. But it's also a place that it's, as I said, very small. And not only that the place is very small, but I come from a very traditional family. So all my family lived in Salamanca, still today. So only my sister lives in Madrid, that it seems like far away, so imagine. But all my family lived in Salamanca. So my family was a very traditional Spanish family. I went there to the school. I still have very good friends from that time. I went also there pushed by my mother. My mother was a psychologist, and I say was because she's retired. So she was psychologist and musical therapy. So she pushed me also from the very early days to go to the conservatory. So I studied music, piano, violin. I didn't want at that time. Then I love it, but at that time I was just like, I prefer to play with my friends rather than going to the conservatory. And I think I am a very familiar person. So I grew up and studied in Salamanca. My father, he was an entrepreneur, also retired now, and he studied humanities, and I think he was very advanced for his time, also in the sense that he was always pushing us, and especially me, I am the oldest of three, to learn English. And by learning English, he pushed me to do a year in the United States, in Oregon, when I was little. Well, first of all, when I was 10, he sent me to UK to learn English, but he realized that 10 in UK learning English was not an option, especially for 1 month. So then he sent me to Oregon in the United States to learn English. And I remember that I arrived there and I thought, oh my God, I know nothing. I mean, I don't understand anything. What is this? I'm lost. I thought I knew English, and now I don't know anything. And at that time, we didn't have internet. So no Wi-Fi, no WhatsApp, no connection with your families at all. And they could not come to visit because they said then she would be homesick. So it was tough as being familiar to really go to a different place, no? And I think there is where I really learned to manage myself, not only English that I did, but also how to manage myself, how to be alone, out of the comfort of your family, no? Then I came back and I wanted to study one of these two careers, journalism or architecture. And my father said, you live in a university city and you choose two of the careers that you cannot study here in Salamanca. So he thought it was more like a rebellion, no, from my side, because I was out. And he said, you need to choose something that you have here in Salamanca. And then I was just like not so happy. So I studied law, just because it was the career that they have like many ways out, no? That whenever you finish, you could decide where to go because it would have many different ways. So when I was studying law, then there was this program that it is still called Erasmus, and I had the opportunity to go to France, and then I studied 1 year in France. That it was also quite interesting for learning French, but also again learning a different culture, no, and a different way to do things as well. And then I came back to Salamanca again, and my father said, "Okay, you're ready." In Spain, it's not so common to take time for you to travel around, which is a pity, because I really think that it's really important also not to go straight to work. But again, he was very advanced and he said, it would be good for you if you do an MBA. So not going directly from the university, but understanding a little bit more about the business. Why business also? Because yes, law is something that is interesting, that helped me to be more analytical, to find the ways, to understand that there are things that you need to study, to understand also that there are things that you need to make an interpretation, so that not everything is black or white, but you also need to but I was much more interested on the business side of even the law, no? So and then my father was entrepreneur, and I think that I have it also in my blood in that sense. So then I did the MBA in Houston, in the University of Houston. And that for me was a shock, because I thought I was going also to speak a lot of English. And it was, of course, at the school, but outside it was just like suddenly a lot of people speaking Spanish. So it was quite interesting as well. So that's a little bit, maybe too long, but that's a little bit a snapshot of my personal life, and then also the career or the school that I've done.
Your father sounds really ahead of his times. Some of those things he got you to do sounds incredible.
He really was, really, because it's again Spain, 1970s. So it's still very traditional, let's put it like that. And he was really thinking to the future and how to be prepared, even being a woman, because at that time also being a woman, it was not necessarily that you were going to work, but maybe you were going to be part of a family taking care of a home. And he was always pushing me. There is one thing that I learned from him, that he, I mean, sometimes, they push you to do things that you say, I can't, I really can't, I can't do this, no? And he always said, you always can. Stop, think, and think the way to do it. But you always can. You just need to think the way how to do it. And it's something that I have always here, no? Whenever there is something that I feel frustrated or impossible, I said, okay, relax, you can. So let's think, how can I do it?
I'm very happy that he steered you away from journalism, Isabel, because the pay is lousy and the hours are relentless. So that was a good decision by your dad. Roger, back to you.
I guess then we get onto your career. And obviously, we're very thankful that it ended up in travel retail. But by the sounds of it, it didn't start in travel retail. It started in accounts. So could you tell us a bit around your first role, obviously outside of travel retail, and then how did we actually, get you into travel retail that we're glad happened?
Yes. So the other thing that I forgot to mention of my early days is that my parents also love to travel. So I have been traveling all around since I was really, really little. And we were going to many different places, and always all the family together, and traveling all around. So the travel part, it was always something that it liked me a lot. So when I finished the MBA in the States, and then I thought, okay, let me have an experience, and I worked in the United States for 1 year. And as you mentioned, it was an accountant company, but it was more an experience for me to really have that experience of working in the United States. And I have to say that I missed a lot the social life when I was working there. No, so I thought, okay, it's good to have that experience, but I would like to go back to Spain. And then when I went back to Spain, looking for a job was not easy, because I didn't have any connection. Again, Salamanca, very small town, not in the middle of the big companies or cities, so I didn't know anyone. So I tried to find my way, trying to understand where could I experience also the traveling. So I wanted to have that experience with an international company. Unfortunately, I didn't succeed at the beginning. So my next job was in the banking industry. And then all by the sudden, there was this opportunity in Aldeasa. Aldeasa was a state, almost as it was in the transition at that time of being a state-owned company and also privatized a little. But I went to an interview, and I remember I went to that interview, and when I went out, I thought, they are not going to choose me. there was so many people for that interview, and I talked with the people, and they were all from big families in Madrid, and I thought, it's impossible. I mean, they are not going to pick me. And they called me and they said, well, we loved your profile. We thought it was quite interesting. Would you like to join? You will need to go to, if you join, you will need to go to Colombia. So there were an opportunity at that time to go to Colombia. And I thought, yes, for sure. Yeah, let me go. Then my grandmother, I think she was praying every day so that I was not going to Colombia. And her prayers were listened, and then I didn't go to Colombia. So the project was kind of canceled. I started in Aldeasa. Yes, I was there for 3-4 years as an analyst in the development department. And then there was a point in which I thought, oh, I need to have another experience. And I moved to Accenture, the consulting firm. And that was really jump, because it was from a company to a consultant company that you need to do things immediately. In Accenture, I was in the strategic branch, so it was not IT that you have like more long projects, but the strategic branch, you have very small projects, and projects that you work very close with the executive committees of the companies. So I learned a lot. I worked a lot, very long hours. I went to a totally different industry because it was telecommunications. So I was working as consultant with Accenture for British Telecom and also for Telefonica. There I learned the portals that it was called at the time. Google didn't exist at that time. And it was really a very intense, and I have to say it was like doing another master. It was really like doing another master. I learned how to present the ideas. So not only working, but how do you have an idea, all the research that you do, and then how you put that research that you have done hours and hours in a paper that it could be maybe 2 pages, because it was for executive people. So it was really quite interesting. And after 3 years, Eugenio called me and he said, listen, there is a new opportunity in the company that is investor relations. And I said, I don't know, what is that? I have no idea what is that. Why do you call me? I have no idea what is that. Yeah, it's really something that is new in Spain. Still, we don't know, but it's related to the stock exchange. You will need to know the company. You will need to explain the company. We believe that you could be a perfect fit. And then it was another challenge that I love, all challenge. So I said, okay, let's do it. And I enjoy that a lot. It was very interesting as well. You have to know the company upside down, high level, of course, but to a detail that you're able to explain things to analysts and investors, because at the same time, you need to, not to convince, because you explain what you believe, but you need to give credibility of what you're saying. So you need to have enough knowledge of all the different aspects, and you need to, for sure, have a strong background in finance to be able to also discuss with analysts. But it was fantastic because it was a way that you learn from a different perspective what other people think also about the industry. I remember once going to a meeting with some bank analysts, and one asked me, what do you think about the low-cost carrier airlines? That was really, I don't know, really very long time. I mean, we didn't have the low-cost carrier airlines at that time in Spain. And I was just like, what is that? Low-cost carrier airlines, what are you talking about? And then I remember that I came immediately and I said, hey, we need to take care about this because I received this question. This might be something important. Let's review, let's understand. So, and then all by the sudden now I have to say that in Spain, the low-cost carrier airlines are the first airlines. So it opens your eyes also, and to think out of the box, to think out of your bubble, and to understand a little bit more what is going on outside the industry. So it was also quite interesting. And then Autogrill bought us. So it's just like a circle. And so my position disappeared, because not only that they bought us, but they were taking us out of the stock market. So then I have the only Italian guy that came with us. It was then my boss. I was thinking, like, why me? That I have the only Italian one, and it was really a very nice experience. It was Silvano Del Negro, and he was head of the strategy and corporate development. So I worked with him for a long period of time. And then when he left back to Italy, I took the position as Chief Strategy and Corporate Development with Jose Maria. So we put into Jose Maria Palencia. So, but really travel retail, it was like traveling, it's in my blood. It's just like, I really love traveling, not only business, but also personally. So it was something that I was lucky, I have to say, that they chose me in that very early stages, because I really enjoy all the journey till now. But I was lucky to do something that I love, that I really love. I talk too much.
No, perfect. Is there any memorable moments? You've given us a great overview. Any nice moments you could share?
Oof, I have many different moments, as you can imagine, but memorable moments. I don't know. I mean, everything in the stage has been really memorable. So Martin said at the beginning, and when I heard that, Martin, 27 years in the industry, I feel really old. I don't feel that old, but then you say it, and it's like, oh my God. But yes, of course, I remember 1999, that it was kind of like an accomplishment. When we were acquired, it was also quite of like shock. I have to say that right now we are also living a memorable moment, because now we are merging again with Autogrill. So it's kind of funny to meet my old colleagues again. So that is really funny. When we were acquired also by Dufry, that was stunning, because I was part of the executive committee. We were doing the presentations to the potential buyers, and we did those presentations, but Dufry, not to Dufry. So, but anyway, it was kind of funny. Then, if I have to say one memorable and moment that I am proud of, it would be also a long time ago when we won Vancouver. So, and let me explain this, because it's kind of funny. That was Aldeasa. So Aldeasa, out of the blue. We were a Spanish company with a business in Latin America. That makes sense. By that time, I think we already have a Jordan. The Jordan was 2001, probably, yes. And then we have this opportunity to go to Vancouver. Imagine, Vancouver. The other way, you know, and I was in charge of, I was not in charge of the department. I was working for business development, and I went to Vancouver, and I remember I came back and I said, we can win this, we can win this, we need to win this. And I have Eugenio Andrades and Lorenzo de Benito, they were at that time, and they were telling me, Isabel, this is impossible. I mean, they don't know Aldeasa. They have no experience. How are they going to take the risk to go to a company that is based in Spain, and it's difficult? And I said, we can. So we spent the time there. We put all the energy. I think we were able to convince internally the company that we could do it, and we won it. And not only that we won it, but also the airport was really happy with the decision. We are still in Vancouver, so not only that they were happy at the time, but they were really happy with the decision. And now another memorable moment also, Roger, in this way, the other way around. I remember also a tender in Australia, also long time ago. So I went to the customs office to understand a little bit, okay, how is customs working here in Australia? What are the papers? I sit down with the customs officers trying to understand. I didn't understand anything. I thought we are not speaking the same language. And I was just like that, like, could you repeat it? Could you repeat it? That moment, is memorable, but horrible. I was feeling so bad that I was there with those officials and not understanding a word. And I remember that I said, I might have a little bit more questions. We are running out of time. If you don't mind, I will send you the questions in an email. Could you reply? And I was thinking, please, because I really didn't understand anything. It was funny. Then later on, of course, I have at that time David McKay, that it's Australian. He works for HMS Host, and he was also helping us with the tender. And then, of course, for the next meeting, I asked him to join, and then it was easier. But the first one, it was kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't understand the word. Those could be kind of like the memorable moments, but for sure there will be many.
They were good.
Sure. Look, there's such a trip down memory lane, but for me as well, Isabel, because I remember coming out to Vancouver. Vancouver's the hometown of my father, rest in peace. And I remember being thrilled actually to be invited out there. I was at the inauguration, and you'll remember the airport was spectacular with the giant aquarium and the river running through it, and you wrapped this beautiful retail around it. Very, very transformative. So it was they're exciting days. And you talk about being in the industry for 26 or 27 years and feeling a little old. I can tell you, I remember everything you've been talking about, and I think I've been in it 36 years, so I feel like the ancient mariner alongside you. But it's nice to hear these stories, and all the twists and turns that this industry has taken along the way. Fascinating. Obviously now we're in three very different parts of the world today where we're speaking from. I've just come back from Macau a couple of hours ago, so I'm back in Hong Kong, and Roger's obviously in Dubai. Where are you today, by the way, Isabel?
In the cold Zurich. So no sunshine. Unfortunately, today is cloudy, but I am in Zurich, in Switzerland.
Okay, all right. So in our three different parts of the world, we're all seeing better times, right? We've been through these 3+ horrid years of business, and although there are still struggles ahead, life is a whole lot better than it's been. So how are you enjoying getting back to normal, as it were? I'm not going to ask you about financial performance or any of that stuff, because I know you can't speak about it, but just generally, how you're feeling now that better times are coming, because it's certainly a more fun industry to be in than it's been for the last while.
So yeah, normal. I don't know what is normal anymore, because it's all changing. So first thing is that I am really so happy that we finished the period of cross fingers, that we finished the period of the COVID. I have to say that it has been the toughest time in my whole career. Not only because we didn't have any business, and because my job was trying to understand how to survive, basically. So okay, how can I survive? So, but also because we needed to get thinner, and by get thinner with lower cost, we needed to also say goodbye to people that were really very good and key in the development of our company. So that for me has been really tough. Really, I have to say, toughest in my career. So very happy that we are over that. Very happy to see people again at the airports. I remember when I moved here to Switzerland, the airports were kind of like a ghost town. There was nobody. But when I say nobody, it was nobody. And it was kind of like a strange, no? Like I never experienced war, but I think that could be something like that. Yeah? So meaning we're myself in my home country directly. No, of course, unfortunately, we have many wars around the world, which is really a shame. Anyway, so it's really good that we are over that period and that we are having passengers again, that sales are coming up. Again, not talking about numbers, but we are also very happily surprised that that right now business is moving up, and but I don't know what is normal, and I am happy also not knowing what is normal, because that also gives you the alert to really look to the market, understand the market, and be ready for changes. And for me, one of the main changes, and I said at the beginning, is the integration with Autogrill. So that it's happening right now. It was already approved a couple of weeks ago, or already a month, I don't know, time flies, but that is going to be a huge change for our company. And I have to say that I've been listening to Xavier Rossinyol, the new CEO, and I'm engaged. He's really the strategy that he put in place. I buy everything. So caring about people, looking for new ways of customer service, looking for new ways to combine both business. So I am really enthusiastic, and I have to say I am also very, very open when I talk, very criticism if I have to. And so I'm not saying this because I would like to say nice words about the new CEO. No, I'm saying because I believe it. So it's encouraging. It's really encouraging, and I know it's going to be a change again for our company. But not only for the company, also for the industry. We have seen that already. So of course, Dufry is not the first one to go into the F&B. So I know Autogrill, HMS Host. I have very good colleagues, Steve from the States, Walter, and I know that we can do a fantastic, we can be a fantastic combination. So really looking forward to see what it's going to come up after this integration phase.
Yeah, I have no doubt at all that you're going to be a fantastic combination. And, you know, we've tracked the food and beverage sector for quite a long time, as you know, having created a food and beverage event and publication way back when it was kind of the poor relation, I would say, of global travel retail. It's certainly not now. Outside the US, where it was always the epicenter of the business, it was something of a poor relation, but it's burgeoning in terms of sales, it's burgeoning in terms of quality, and that's all good. And I think there's all to play for, as they say, Isabel, and here we have giant merging with giant. What a fantastic industry story that is. And it's just going to be fascinating, I think, for all of us, but particularly commentators such as myself, to track progress. We did an interview, as you know, with Xavier shortly before Trinity last year. I thought it was the best articulation of opportunity in our business I've ever heard. And I'm not just saying that because he's probably watching. I'm saying it because I was there. That was a one-take interview. He didn't stop. The conversation just flowed, and he was right on the message, and it was his message. You could feel it coming from his heart as well as his mind. It was absolutely fascinating. So as I say, the next stages are going to be just great to watch, and we wish you really, really well with that. Just to close this section, Isabel, it has been a fascinating journey for you. Who would you single out as, if you like, your mentors or key influences along the way?
So personally, my mentors are my family. So personally, my grandmother, my mother as two big fighters in different fields. My father for the entrepreneurship vision and pushing me always. Business-wise, if I need to choose one person, it will be for sure Eugenio Andrades. So he was the person that hired me at the very beginning. He was the person that rehired me. I fight with him a lot along this way. When I was working with him, when I was not working with him, being below, being at the same level, then being below again. So, but he always push me. So I have to say that he's brilliant. I like him a lot. I can say that for me, it's also a personal friend right now, after all these years of work. But he listens. We are able to discuss openly. So what I think, what he thinks. He always has a different point of view that maybe you never thought about it. So it's just like, where'd that come from? I mean, it's just like, but why do you suddenly thought about it and I didn't, no? So he's really brilliant, and he always pushed me out of the comfort zone. So, and I always say that because we are friends, and sometimes I said it not so positive to him, but I appreciate it. So because we are friends, I think he pushed me more than others. So I always, but if you have this, I mean, you are asking me things that you don't ask the rest. And he always pushed me out of the comfort zone. Why are you doing this? Why are these numbers? Look closer, think more. So that I think it's, I would say he for sure has been my mentor. But I want to mention also, Martin, I would have to mention a lot of people, no? Jose Maria Palencia, he was also my CEO. I worked directly with him many years. I learned a lot from him. I want to mention, and that's the one that I wanted, Pedro Castro. And you know him, he lives in Hong Kong right now. And Pedro is a person that I see working. I think you lose two qualities that he has a lot: generosity and humanity. Really amazing, incredible. And I think it's important to also highlight. So he has been in the industry also quite a long time. I met him in Chile. So I was doing business development. I traveled to Chile, and he was hired at that time, and he was running Chile, and that was the first time that I met him. He has a memory that he remembers things from my life that I don't. This was like Pedro, incredible. So that I have to also highlight and appreciate. And of course, then Julian pushed me again out of my comfort zone. So I was corporate. I was doing a strategy and corporate development. And he told me, I see your CV. You never had an experience in operations. And I said, no, Julian, it would be good for you if you do it. Would you be ready to move and to do it? And not only to do it, I needed to close one office, open another office. And I said, okay, I like challenge. And then I did. And it was also, I think I really thank him for pushing me again and doing that, because I am now on the other side, and I enjoy a lot. I really enjoy a lot in that sense. So that would be kind of like mentors or people that I learned during my career. And of course, open to keep learning. Sorry, I want to mention two more people, and you will be surprised.
Okay.
John Sutcliffe. I remember him when I was going to MEDFA, and both John Sutcliffe and Paul Topping, and they said, you are always working from behind the scene. You always work from behind the scene. You need to be on the stage. And I was like, I don't want to be on the stage. I don't want to be on the stage. I feel, yes, you're great. You're passionate. You love your industry. You need to be on the stage. And both not very happy with my company, in the sense that Paul Topping, we bought Autogrill but we bought Alpha, so he was not feeling so good about my company. And John Sutcliffe, he was really not good about Aldeasa entering in Jordan, so he was really very vocal, also not happy about us. So that's why also I want to mention, because not being so happy about the company, they were pushing me also, like, you need to be on the stage, you need to be there, why you're not there? And now I'm here and they are not, and it's a pity, because I would love if they would have seen me.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they have been very impressed and happy about your progress since, and I'm in touch with both of them. They're still going strong, as you know.
You need to
some really
them.
Great names you mentioned, and you talked about Pedro. He'll be blushing at that praise, Isabel, but when he hears the program, we'll go out and have a nice bottle of red wine, Spanish, of course, and toast you, because they're very nice comments that you made. And you talked about generosity and humanity. When we talk to people, when Roger and I talk to people about you, those are two words that we hear back many times. So I think those influences have been very positive ones in your life. Okay, well, look, this has been fun, but it's also been a little bit about work and growing up. We're now going to kind of go into our fantasy world. We have invested in a small plot of real estate out in the middle of the ocean. It's a desert island. It does have duty-free status, as you'd expect of us, Isabel, and we're going to fly you there on a very low-cost carrier called Tripod Airlines that Roger and I have invested in. So you can imagine it's particularly low cost. And I'm going to hand over to Roger. We're going to give you a few creature comforts to enjoy on the island. So Roger, why don't you take it away?
So Isabel, welcome to our island. You're allowed to pick one piece of music, whether it's an album or one track. What piece of music would you pick and why?
I would like to pick two. So I like to pick, I would like to pick one album that my father have, I don't know the name in English, but this turntable table or something like that it's called, where you put the vinyl records.
Yeah, record player.
What? Turntable table, I don't know. Yeah.
Turntable, yeah, turntable.
So my father had at home a room that it was his room. Again, no internet, no Wi-Fi, no computers. It was full of books and music. And he has this, I don't know the name in English, the machine that you put the vinilos, and he always said, you cannot touch. You cannot touch. This is be very careful. This is something that only the grown-up can touch. You cannot touch. So every time he was going out my house, I sneak in and I touch. And the record that he had, and that then I always play, it was Pink Floyd, The Dark Side of the Moon. And for that is a record that it's in my heart, because it was there, and I put it, and I learned English with that. And the other one, it's and I didn't mention this, I love jazz. I really love jazz. So I told you that I went to the conservatory and I play piano and violin, but I wanted to play saxophone. Unfortunately, saxophone was not in the conservatory in Salamanca, so I couldn't. The conservatory is very traditional. You cannot, you don't, I mean, at that time, now hopefully it's a little bit different, but at that time you have a script, you play, and you need to play exactly the same as it was. You cannot move hands, notes, very rigid. And for me, jazz, it was just, it's the other way around. No, it's having fun with a saxophone. So I learned saxophone later on, and then I played in a jazz band. Actually, till very recent, till I moved to Switzerland, I was playing in Madrid. And then the record that really opened me to the jazz is a record that it was from Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong. And also because it was one that it was put by my English teacher. So he put this record that it was so that you understand the difference between English from the United States and English from the UK. And it's the one that it said tomato, tomato. So it was really fantastic. So those two records, the Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong together, and Pink Floyd, that is what I will take to the island.
We'll of course let you have to, because it's you, Isabel. Which bit of reading would you take? So you've got your music, book, poem, play. What bit of reading would you like to take?
I would like to take a book that I have not read. So because a book that I would like to take is one from a Spanish author. It's Xavier Aldecoa, and he just published a book that it's called Quixote in Congo. That's my translation. It's in Spanish, so I don't know if the book ever gets in English. I don't know how the translation would be, but it would be Quixote in Congo, and it's the experience of living in the Congo. But then if I need to look back, so you ask what would be a book that shocked you, it would be 1984 from George Orwell, because I really think that it's amazing how still today, that was a book that I have to read mandatory at a school. And when I read it, I thought, this is impossible, no? How is it possible that someone is going to check everything that you're doing and control everything that you're doing and influence what you're thinking? Is the reality today. It's amazing. It's really the reality today. So it's growing and growing. So yeah, that would be one that, but I wouldn't take that one. I already read it. I will take one that that it will be new for me.
Right, so you've got some great music, some very, very stimulating reading. We're going to give you, as this island has duty-free status, there's no arrival shop there, unfortunately, Isabel, yet. We're thinking about holding a tender, and I'm sure Dufry will bid on it, but you're going to have to buy on departures. And of course, you'll be buying from a Dufry store. We'll give you 2 items. They can be from any category. What would you take to while away your time with and make it more pleasant on the island?
A very good wine, for sure. Red wine. I love it, depending on the temperature of the island. If it's warm, then it will be white wine. If not, a red wine, and wine from Spain, for sure. So I will take a Pinto that it's from Toro. It's a new area, new region that it's starting to have very good wines, and I will take that wine.
We'll give you a second item, a non-alcohol item. Would you take a fragrance? Would you take an accessory?
A chocolate, and I am dead here in Switzerland, because as you know, chocolate I have chocolates in the office every day, and that is killing me because I really love chocolate. So I will take chocolates with me.
All right, done. Okay. All right, Roger, back to you.
Finally, on the island, you can have a special dinner party. And I'm quite intrigued to hear your answer to this after your music and your reading. You can invite 3 guests from history or living today, can be famous, not famous. Who would you have for your special Isabel dinner party?
So Roger, reality. So the reality is that for a special dinner party, I will take and I will cook dinner together with my grandmother, my mother, and her twin sister, my aunt. And we will be cooking dinner with a glass of wine and classic music behind and having a memorable moment. My grandmother passed away already. My mother and my aunt lives, but that would be fantastic. But then if I need to think, okay, with whom I would like to have a little bit more knowledge and questions, then it will be Frida Kahlo. That I guess that you know her. So because I think that she has been an amazing artist, of course, but also she needed to defend herself also, and to in order to go through life and stand up not only as a woman, but also as a minority. So that would be incredible. And then the other person, and I would never been able to pronounce her name, her last name, so I said Malala, but is she's very young, and is the lady that won the Nobel Prize for Peace. She's from Pakistan, and also defending the women's rights. Those two for sure. If I have so many questions to ask and to be inspired, actually. And then as a funny note, I would like to sit down with Mata Hari and understand a little bit, and maybe Cleopatra also to understand. So those would be, but as you can see, and I am just realizing all women, because I understand that not only for the future, but also as my family, I pick the women. So yeah, funny.
Is going to be one heck of a dinner party. There will be a couple of men there because Roger and I will be serving the wine for you. So we'll do our best as well. That is fantastic. Well, what a great desert island that will be. But we're going to have to take you off at some point. You've got to go back to work. But for being such a good sport, we're going to fly you somewhere first on Tripod Airlines. That's really top of your bucket list, somewhere you'd like to go. Where would it be and why?
I travel a lot. As I said, also personally, I have one bucket thing that I want to do when I retire, and I hope to retire soon enough to be able to do it, that it's going around the world. So I wouldn't pick one place. I would really love to go around the globe and take my time to do it. So not in a hurry, not really jumping from one place to the other, but really taking the time to do it. And I would start in Africa. So I am totally in love with the continent. I'm totally in love with the people, really amazing people. And I will start there in Africa, all north, south, center, even the countries where you have a lot of problems. I would really love to do that, but all around the globe. That will be my choice, if I can choose.
Well, there you go, Roger. We're going to need a bigger plane, I suspect, but we'll invest in one, especially for you, Isabel.
I travel light.
As it were.
I travel light.
Right. That does literally, I think, complete the circle. So we're going to take you around the world. And of course, it comes back to the start of the conversation, Isabel. You mentioned Christopher Columbus, just such a famous name and in exploration and an influence on you in early life. So you were kind of born to travel, one suspects, and your career has probably taken you to places that you never dreamed you would go, just as it has happened with many of us in the travel retail world. It's been absolutely brilliant to chat. I have learned things about you, Isabel, and I think the travel retail community will have as well that we didn't know. Next party that we have, I'm going to have you playing saxophone and maybe doing a bit of cooking, because we hear that you're a great cook as well. But you've been a great sport. Isabel, what I said earlier about the esteem you are held with in this business is important for me to underline again. You are not only, of course, very well known, but so well respected for your integrity and your ability and your humanity. And thanks for being generous of spirit and joining with us today on Tripod.
Thank you very much. It has been really fantastic. Although talking about your own life is sometimes a little bit worrying, but it has been great. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Roger. I'll let you sign off.
Thanks, Isabel. It's been absolutely fantastic. You've had such a huge breadth of a career, both, as Martin said, geographically, but then also roles as well. And, you know, with International Women's Day around the corner, and the way you've obviously spoke around, you know, just by chance, I guess, by some of the influences, I just hope everyone in our industry and others can just see what an absolutely successful career you've had. Still nowhere near, still lots more to go, as you said. I hope you're not thinking of retiring anytime soon from what you said about traveling the world. But we're just obviously very thankful for you coming on the show, but also for sharing with everyone what an amazing career you've had. And, you know, when you were talking to me about your father and the era when he was giving you that advice, you know, it's literally, I was like cold running through me, because I just thought, wow, what a visionary he must have been to give you, as that little girl, all of that spirit and drive which has delivered this. So thank you for sharing that. It means a lot.
Thank you very much, Roger and Martin. It has been really a pleasure to be today with you.
You take good care, Isabel. Good luck with everything, but with the Dufry Auto Grill integration, it's going to be a fun ride, I think. So enjoy that, and all the best. Stay well, and thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
Well, Roger, we've had many good guests on this show, but Isabel is right up there among my favorite editions. I just thought it was an enthralling encapsulation of a life journey, a career journey, and we discovered lots of things along the way, didn't we? What a fine, strong, impressive woman.
I'm lucky enough to sit on the Medford board with Isabel, so I've got to know her really well over the last 24 months, and she came across exactly how she is. I think she's absolutely phenomenal. By complete chance and coincidence, this week is International Women's Day on Wednesday, and to have Isabel, albeit it's by complete chance, on this week, I think just says everything about our industry. She is one of our biggest female leaders, and what a career she's had. And to hear about, as I mentioned, and probably a few times to Isabel, you know, the way her father supported her career from very, very early on, actually very visionary, you know, well ahead of his time, especially in Spain in those days as well. It's just unbelievable. So she's absolutely fantastic. I'm lucky to have worked with her for the last couple of years, and I hope that continues as well.
Yeah, I've worked with her, met her many times down the years during the various openings she talked about, the various corporate machinations that we've that she talked about as well. So you know, I've seen her at work, and everybody in the industry, as I was saying, Roger, that knows Isabel, speaks extremely highly of her, as you know. So we're very honored to have had her on the show. Well, thanks for being with us again. Another great edition. We got some great guests coming up in future weeks. But I'm going to say goodbye for now. This is Martin Moodie signing off. See you next time.
See you next time.